thank you so much, Mike. And ClickHouse and Netflix for having us all. Amazing space, and I'm very honored to be here and be able to present a little bit on Langfuse. I'm Clemens, I'm one of the co-founders of Langfuse. And what does Langfuse do? We're an LLM ops platform, open source, I guess as a pole or like next to ML ops. What we do is we specialize in observability, so that's tracing for your LLM application, but we also do other things like prompt management, evaluations, and a lot of analytics on top of the data you collect about your LLM application. We work with a bunch of cool companies. It's open source, so you can use our cloud or you can self-host. On cloud, we work, for example, with Khan Academy, Springer Nature, big academic publisher, and Twilio. On self-hosted, companies like Merck, Samsara, Block, Summerabuse use Langfuse. Langfuse is based out of Berlin, Germany. I'm the only person that's based out west, and I do go-to-market at Langfuse, so I'm mostly based here doing sales. So I'll also talk not about a super technical problem, but I'll talk about our journey to adopting and rolling out ClickHouse and a specific challenge that we face because Langfuse is open source and it's reasonably widely self-hosted. We also rolled out ClickHouse to a few thousand self-hosters and continue to onboard customers and other self-hosters on to Langfuse. Just to set the scene, we started Langfuse, the company, 2 years ago with a very simple setup. You can see here, just one container, a Postgres database. That was really it. That allowed us to get off the ground very quickly, prove that there's something there, that people want to use this. Very early days of working with LLMs in general. That was really exactly 2 years ago, March 2023. People liked the project, and things kind of went well for our cloud version, but what we didn't anticipate and what ended up happening is that people really, really loved self-hosting the setup because it's so easy. And so Langfuse found an interesting wedge, or like an interesting niche that we didn't necessarily expect, which was larger companies, regulated companies, enterprises that started using the software of a very, very small and early stage startup. Why did that happen? I think because there's a lot of excitement about AI, as you all know, and being able to use a open source, MIT licensed platform service was very attractive to a lot of larger companies and still is. So at Langfuse, we ended up with a go-to-market. That's the part of the company that I own that is, dual. We sell our cloud solution and we have a large self-hosting community and also engage commercially with a lot of companies that use Langfuse. Okay, so when did this first setup break that I just showed you? It was around spring, summer of last year, when I think you can see sort of things ticking up, like a little, some wiggles at the end of 2023, and then this is ingestion volume on our cloud version, 2 lines, because there's one EU data region and one US-based data region. And that was around, spring, I think, that things started to happen, and the first larger customers onboarded. Our industry, like I think many data-heavy industries, are very, very outlier-driven. Basically, often these are individual customers that drive a lot of this traffic. I think it's also around summer of 24 that my co-founder, Max, who's our CTO, started losing a lot of sleep, and then we knew we had to do something. And then the decision was basically, do we continue on Postgres, optimize it, try out the extensions, or do we go for an OLAP database straight away? And I think we've seen a bunch of evidence from Alexei just now that ClickHouse is a very performant database. What were the specific challenges that we have at Langfuse? Lots of rows, billions of rows, lots of traces that are ingested, large I/O, so people ingest any type of data into LLMs. It can be very short messages, it can be very long messages, novels, articles, everything. Multimodal traces. Our traces are often updated because these LLM applications take time, often at least 10 seconds, up to minutes of sort of continuous things, agents that are doing things. So that's another challenge. A lot of UIs that reference the same tables that we have stored, and people look at this data in all kinds of forms. So the single trace level, but also charts, aggregations, and we have metrics APIs, for example, where we give aggregated data back to to our customers. Yeah, so all of these bode really well for ClickHouse. Super modern database. We had high trust, a lot of trust also in scalability of ClickHouse, and some friends, Alexei, told us about using ClickHouse, especially the folks at Posttalk and BetterStack that we're somewhat close with, really advised us to go for ClickHouse, and we haven't regretted it yet. And then we started working with ClickHouse Cloud, and it's been really great. Support team's amazing. All the data regions, backups available that we needed to roll this out to our customers really quickly. Okay, I'll fast forward now. This is Langfuse's new architecture. This is a project that took about 6 months. A single person worked on this, my co-founder Max. At the end of the project, we onboarded one of my former colleagues, Steffen, who's working with us on the backend and platform side now. So from this simple setup with a single Docker container and a Postgres database, we went to 2 containers. We added an async container to process events, Redis as a cache, ClickHouse as the sort of centerpiece of our, where we store traces and then run queries on top of them, and S3 to persist these events in the first instance, and then also store a lot of larger multimodal data. All of this runs on AWS actually, with ClickHouse Cloud then running through AWS. And before this, the first iteration, very, very hacky on Supabase and Vercel. So we've sort of come a long way a little bit. The challenge was we weren't just doing this for our own service, right? So this is what happened for Langfuse internally, but also there were and still are thousands of deployments of Langfuse out there, which sort of pose a couple of unique challenges. And I want to talk about how we ended up migrating many of these, and I can show you a couple of statistics later. Firstly, I think what did we do? We communicated very early, transparently, and frequently about how we were going to, what we were going to do and how Langfuse was going to change. So you see here, this is the first message that my co-founder Max wrote in our GitHub discussions. April 2024, almost a year ago, 125 comments over time. So we really tried to keep everyone in the loop, updated on what we were considering, our reasoning behind this, and really give them ample time to inform themselves about ClickHouse, learn about deployment options, etc. So we ended up making the change just before Christmas in December of last year. Then we built a focus group, users we were close with, or a mailing list first, just people can sign up and sort of be kept in the loop even tighter. Then a focus group, users we are very close with, in also companies that are important to us, that we sort of kept close, discussed with, and kept them involved in this decision from the start. Once, there was also a release candidate, so some of them helped us really beta test and try out our like the new setup that we were running ourselves on our cloud version already, but then also trialing it out in their environments before we publicly made it available. Then when we made it available, we also offered a pretty robust and great background migration script, so people started using the new version of Langfuse and could migrate their data over from their old deployment in the background, had a UI or has a UI, shows people sort of what's going on, and a bunch of our users really appreciated that. And what helps is that our self-hosting software is actually one-on-one the same as the cloud service. So if you self-host Langfuse, it's literally the same thing as what we're running, which I think aligns incentives very nicely if you are rolling out a big change like this. How did this work? Yeah, it worked pretty well. So you can see the red line there. This is December of last year. This chart is active deployments of Langfuse. A couple of kinks, I think, because telemetry had some issues with it. But basically, these active deployments of Langfuse since we started. And the blue line at the bottom is now V3, which is the version 3 release, which includes ClickHouse. And so since we started releasing this in sort of mid-December, there's now there's 4 digits deployments that already run ClickHouse. So quite a nice success, we feel. These are the sort of headline numbers. Anecdotally, people are also very happy. So here are a couple of quotes from customers that are really important for us on self-hosting. And I mean, the first one's like basically, hey, I thought this was going to be a nightmare migrating this to the new infrastructure. Actually, it was fine. And the other people are, these two are our 2 largest, I think, self-hosting customers that really ingest billions of rows into into Langfuse in their own infrastructure, and they're basically like, hey, guys, this works again, so thank you very much for shipping this, for shipping this update. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about GTM, because that's my turf. At Langfuse, there are some concerns, I think, when you roll out a new database. That's not, as sort of fully managed serverless available like Postgres, but I think we have, or we can present a sort of menu of alternatives to people that want to run Langfuse to try this out and to make it work for them, and this has worked really well so far. So basically, if people want to run a small-scale instance of Langfuse, and a lot of startups actually do this, we recommend to run it in Docker Compose on a VM, and this really works also in production if you have sort of less than 1 million traces a month ingested. And in larger companies and enterprises, this is usually the easiest way to get a POC stood up and understand if the platform is actually something these companies are interested in. Then in production, we have a Helm chart, that's great, and also deployment templates for the 3 big hyperscalers that give people that want to host Langfuse comfort and sort of ease in deploying. And then also a partnership with ClickHouse, so if people want something managed, ClickHouse Cloud's amazing, we use it ourselves, that's great. And then also ClickHouse BYOC, so bring your own cloud, where ClickHouse operates the instance on behalf of the customer, is super attractive offering for enterprises that want to keep that data in their own perimeter. And then obviously also Langfuse Cloud, but that's sort of self-selection of customers that can and want to do this. Okay, that was a very quick overview of what we've done with ClickHouse. And there is a longer technical blog post that my co-founder Max has written on this whole journey. You can scan the QR code there. And then also, if you're here, you're probably either already using ClickHouse or ClickHouse curious, so you might be very well placed to host your own instance of Langfuse. Have a look at the repository and feel free to seek me out or send me an email later. Thank you.